Hi there and welcome to my reflections on the story and the life of Jesus. And as we journey through Matthew, in today's video, we'll look at vision, but specifically a clarity of vision about who Jesus is that builds our faith. And so we see after Jesus has this encounter with his disciples about who do they think that he is, about a week later, he takes up Peter, James, and John up to a mountainside, up onto the mountain. And on that mountain, they have this incredible vision. They see Jesus transfigured, his body, his clothing, everything is bright as light. And then he is with Moses and Elijah on the top of the mountain. And Peter just says, "It's so good for us to be here. Can we build a shelter for all three of you?" Now, I don't know why Peter was wanting to do that, but what I do know is that they were overcome and overshadowed by a bright cloud. And the Lord spoke to them. God the Father spoke to them from the cloud and said, "This is my son, and not please, but listen to him." And they fall in terror and they're afraid about what they'd heard. But then Jesus taps them on the shoulder and they look up and everyone's gone except for Jesus. And Jesus warns them, don't let anybody know what you've seen until after I've been raised from the dead. And on the way down, they get to the bottom of the mountain, and there's this big commotion at the bottom there because this dad has brought the son to the rest of the disciples who were left at the bottom of the mountain, but they couldn't heal him. The son had seizures and all sorts of things happening to him. And then the man came to Jesus desperate, begging Jesus to heal him because his disciples could not. And Jesus almost seems to have this frustrating moment, or a frustrated moment, where he talks, this crooked generation, how long must I be here? How long must I stay with you? He heals the child, commands the demon to leave, and then the son is restored to the father. But then the disciples have this moment of, Jesus, why could we not do it? Why could we not heal him? Bear in mind, they had walked with Jesus, they'd seen Jesus do this countless times. And Jesus just simply said to them, "You have so little faith." I was like, what? I mean, these are people who've been walking with Jesus day in and day out. And they've seen Jesus do all sorts of miracles. And it amazes me how many times in the Gospels Jesus rebukes them for their lack of faith. But then he goes on to say, if you had the faith the size of a mustard seed, the tiniest bit of faith, confidence in who he was, they could move mountains, literally. He said nothing would be impossible for you. Now, I know I can relate to the disciples. I wonder if you can relate to them, that you've seen Jesus do all sorts of things in other people's lives, healings, miracles, provision, all sorts of incredible miracles. And then the moment you stepped up to try and believe God, it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't quite seemed to be there. And it's almost like we don't really have the faith for it. We have a lot of hope in it, but not faith in it. And this is where vision is so important. And this is my reflection upon this story today, is that a clearer vision of Jesus builds our faith. Just think about it. These guys have been walking with Jesus for so long. They walked with him. They spoke with him. They saw what he did. And in fact, they did miracles themselves. But in this moment, they somehow lacked the faith. They lacked the confidence in who Jesus was. Maybe they lacked the confidence of what they were able to do, even though Jesus wasn't present with them. But you see, Peter, James, and John, they were on the mountainside and on top of the mountain, and they didn't clearly understand who Jesus was. They wanted to build a shelter for all three people, not knowing that Jesus was elevated above all. And so I wonder if today that maybe we just need to ask God, not so much for miracles, but ask God that we may see Jesus more clearly in our life each and every day. That we would have a greater revelation of Christ. That we would see him for who he is and trust him for who he is. Trust him when he says what he says he can do, and believe that he will do it. I don't know what that means for you. I don't know what moving a mountain is needed in your life. But maybe if we saw Jesus more clearly, we would have greater faith to believe him. And I wonder if it's better to be wrong and try have faith than to worry about what other people might think, or worry if it doesn't work. And maybe that's a stumbling block for us. We worry too much about what the consequences might be or how we might be disappointed, rather than taking a risk and saying, I don't know if I completely understand, I might have some doubt, but I'm going to lean in and I'm going to put everything into my faith right now, and I'm going to believe, I'm going to stand on God's word, and I'm going to believe more of who Jesus is and have a clearer revelation of Him. He is the Son of God. He loves you and He wants to be with you. Well, God bless you. I hope that today has been an encouragement to you. If there was anything in this story that stood out to you in your reflection, won't you let me know in the comments section? I'd love to know and hear what it is so we could bounce off each other. We're helping each other grow in this journey. God bless you, and I'll see you again in the next video.